All right, hello and welcome to Leaders Fuel Daily. This is episode number 15, I believe, and I'm here with my friend Natalia Williams. Natalia, how are you doing today?
I'm great, Rick. How are you?
I'm very good, and I'm so glad that you joined me for this podcast. And it's been a lot of fun to do these and hear people's stories and just, uh, different ways to approach really the topic of entrepreneurial empowerment. And that's the point for me of doing these and to give people an opportunity also to make what they do known in the world in a bigger way, or at least in some other way here through this. And so I appreciate you coming in. I'm looking very forward to hearing about your story and about what you do. And I want everyone to know that I'm going to make sure that your bio and then everything, every way that a person could get a hold of you is going to be available wherever this goes out. So you're a person that people should know, and I'm glad to know you. And also, I'm getting to know you, so I realize there's a lot about you that I don't yet know. And part of it is kind of your story. I've heard some of it, but I haven't heard all of it. Uh, so talk about your journey. How did you become an entrepreneur, and how did all that start? And what was that journey like for you? What has it been like for you?
Um, Goodness. Well, it started when I was about roughly 18 years old.
Okay.
That's when it started. I had an uncle who owned a very prestigious hotel in downtown Detroit.
Hmm.
It was called the Pontchartrain Hotel. And everybody in my family just looked up to him. He was like, when he showed up to family events, oh, Uncle Thomas is here. Uncle Thomas is here. And I had no idea like what that entailed, like
Hmm.
entrepreneurship, but I just knew that he was very well known. He was
Hmm.
very respected. He was
Sure.
very influential in the
Yeah.
community.
Hmm.
And I wanted to know a little bit more about that. And I had another uncle who had started a restaurant and had a little bit of ups and downs with that, but went that route in entrepreneurship. And it wasn't something that was that everybody in my family did.
Right.
You either went to college or trade school, you got married, you got a job, you worked that job, you saved for retirement. That was it. You
That
didn't
was the
rock the
pathway.
boat.
Yeah.
Yep, you didn't rock the boat. And I was the different one. I was the dreamer in the family.
Hmm.
And there were so many things that I wanted to try and explore and experience. And when somebody approached me years ago, it was another direct sales company, and they invited me to an event.
Hmm.
And at that point in my life, I was having like some personal transition things, and it
Hmm.
just came in at the right time. And
Yes.
I seen these group of women who were empowered.
Yes.
They were not jealous of each other. They weren't doing anything but propelling each other
Nice.
forward, celebrating, clapping, you go girl, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it was like, oh, wow, this is my 9 to 5 is not like this.
I think I found my tribe here, right?
Yes, yes.
That's great.
And that was the beginning for me of, somebody coming along and saying, hey, Natalia, you can write your own paycheck. You can set your own hours. You can do anything that you want to do through this business. And that was the beginning. But it was the camaraderie that drew me, the speaking life to each other. And if
Yes.
somebody only had a $13 sale that week, we
Yeah.
gave them a standing clapping ovation.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
great.
that kind of group, and it was eye-opening for me. And so with that being said, I started, that was the beginning of my direct sales journey. In the midst of all of that, I discovered that I had a gift to do hair and makeup and skin, and I was just playing around.
Hmm.
So I thought at the time.
Yes. Yes.
And I'll never forget, there was something called the French roll or French twist.
Okay.
And I mastered it. And my mom even said it. She was like, you mastered it and you need to think about what you're going to do with that. And my sister was of the same mindset. What are you going to
Hmm.
do with it? And
Yes.
they started talking to me about going to hair school. And I
Mm.
was like, no. I'm good. I'm good. This is just something to play with, and so on and so forth. And
Yes.
they pushed hard enough that there was a vocational program my junior and senior year of high school.
Okay.
I didn't have to pay for it. There was a bus that took you there. There was
Yes.
nothing keeping you from doing it.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and about 3 months, 4 months to finishing, I was like, nah, I don't want to do this.
Huh.
I don't want to do this. And my sister, of course, is like, are you insane? You're almost done. What are you
Yes.
doing? And I'm like, no. And I'll admit to you, there was fear. There was
Sure.
there was being an entrepreneur. I've learned you have to overcome a lot. And a lot of it was mindset that I had to overcome, like big time. Like
Yes.
I was scared to mess up a woman's hair. And I didn't want to go there. So
Yeah.
long story short with that, I became a beauty school dropout and went into corporate. I still continued to do direct sales, but was in corporate. And something happened one day. I was sitting in my cubicle,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having one of those moments again of, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And a magazine came across my desk, and there was all these women on the cover, and one of them I knew her personally. And I looked at it, I grazed over it. It was like one of those defining moments. I remember clearly my phone stopped ringing.
Yeah.
in my cubicle where I was. It wasn't ringing, it was quiet.
Yeah.
And there was enough time that God allowed for me to graze over this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember in my mind thinking, you could never do that. And I remember the still small voice of God saying, why can't you? And it was like
the call.
Yeah, it was like, it was kind of frightening
Yes.
for a minute. And that started another catalyst in my journey. I went to nail school. I was still running from hair. That came later, and I want to make sure I stay on track with you. But
sure.
I worked a 9-to-5 job that required me to travel to New York City a couple times a year. And I had account executives that I worked with, and I was like their inside contact. And so I thought it was cool because I got to go to New York. I got to stay in the Waldorf Astoria, in the Roosevelt Hotel, and being at the Jacob Javits Center. I thought that was super cool. And God's like, I got some more stuff.
Something else.
I got something else. I got something else for you. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And so I did that job. I went to nail technician school at night. I went 3 days a week. So I would leave my job, literally grab dinner, go to school from like, I got off at 5. I had to be in class at 6, and we went till about 9. I did that for 5 months and still traveled when I was required to travel.
Yes.
And I had those moments, Rick, of what are you doing? What are you doing? And by that point I was married. And so I had my husband's voice. He's like, you can do this. You can do this. You can do it.
Nice.
I had those temper tantrums where I didn't want to study anatomy and physiology. I could care less about that. And I threw my textbook across the room, and he would just go pick it up and sit it back in front of me and just keep going. It's okay. Yes. You're going to do it. And I completed it.
Yes.
I was shocked. I was shocked for myself, because I had a pattern of when it got too hard, I just would want to, I'll do something else.
Yeah.
And completed it, made a decision, me and my husband prayerfully, that, okay, you're going to leave corporate America. And I put in my 2 weeks notice. And I started my own nail salon with no clients.
Oh, I bet a lot of people can relate to what you just said there.
Yeah.
Everything that goes along with that.
Yes. I was scared out of my mind. But there was that pulling inside of, you need to do this. You need to do this. It's scary, but you need to do it. So that's how it started.
Nice. You know, it's interesting. I hear your story, and it makes me think, This is why I put together the course called The Heroic Entrepreneur,
Mhm.
because you're describing these defining moments of your entrepreneurial journey.
Mhm.
And it's interesting. What I did in that course was I looked at what's called the monomyth, or the hero's journey. And there's these points along the hero's journey, and I realized they match up with an entrepreneurial journey. So one of them, by the way, is the call, and
Mhm.
that magazine in front of you being the call, that moment where you know that you know that you know that you were meant for something more than what you were doing
Yeah.
right in that time. This whole idea of the heroic entrepreneur is the hero starts in the ordinary world and then ventures out into the special world and then comes back. But when you come back, you've conquered something and you're never the same and you have more to give. And so that is sort of that call to leave the ordinary or familiar world. And then the other part of having your husband encourage you and other people encourage you, that's a pretty key piece of the journey. And I can't I can't imagine anything but that people are hearing your story and thinking about their own journey and the moments and that doubt, that self-doubt, and that sort of like self-sabotage part that goes
Mhm.
along with it, and then coming back to it, and then the people that come around you and support your dream. Everything good in our life really does come through other people,
Yes.
meaning that what would we be without someone there to support our dream?
Yes.
It'd be pretty lonely. And, even with a lot of support, guess what? There's
Mhm.
hard work to do. And
Yeah.
there's things that, you're going to have to overcome. And it's great to know, though, that you have people alongside of you that are cheering you on in
Yes.
everything, isn't it?
Yes. Yes. And my husband has always been anything that I have aspired to do. I think he caught the vision
Yeah.
before I kind of latched onto
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
He caught it, and that we've been in ministry for almost 14 years, and
Hmm.
one of the things I remember him saying is that if God moves us, whether we move across the state, out of state, across the country, this will afford you to be able to get in somewhere really quickly because you'll have this license.
Yeah.
You've got a technical skill now that'll follow you anywhere.
Transferable. Yeah.
Yeah, it can go anywhere. And so I do the part about having that self sabotage, the imposter syndrome, all
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's trying to overcome that in that
Sure.
time, and I was so thankful with that. I mean, and even in the point where you're stepping out on faith and your bank account looks a certain way, and you're like, how in the world is this going to
Yeah.
happen? How is
Yeah.
this going to happen? And just a really quick story, I feel like I should share it.
Yeah. Sure. Go ahead.
Um, Before I went to nail technician school, and I had put it out there to some friends, good, awesome friends that I had within church, personal friends, and asked them to pray for me because I was scared,
Mhm.
really scared. But I knew I needed to do it. And my husband was we're gonna come together, we're gonna lock hands, and we're gonna go and we're gonna petition the Lord for the money,
Mhm.
everything that we need for you to go.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do that, and then here comes your quiz, right? Here
Mhm.
comes your quiz right behind it.
Mhm.
And I had to register 4 classes by a certain time because I was going to have to travel to New York City.
Mhm.
And if I didn't get it done, I was going to have to wait 5 months for the
Mhm.
next class. And
Yeah.
everything in me was like, you don't want that to happen. But the money that we had prayed for hadn't shown up. So I'm not
Yes.
kidding you. We
Mm.
got up on a Saturday. My husband said, we're going to get in the car
Mhm.
and we're going to drive to the school. And I'm like, what are you talking about, Willis? No, we're not. We don't have the money to do that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, we asked God for the money. We're just going to believe him and we're going to go up there and we're going to get you registered. And I'm literally in the car, Rick.
Yes.
He's praying, but in my mind, I'm like, God, please don't embarrass me.
Yeah.
Please don't embarrass
Mm.
me. But we pull into the parking lot and my phone rings. And it was one of my friends. And she said, did you guys get what you needed for you to go to school yet? And I said, no. And she says, well, Me and my husband prayed about it. This is as we're pulling into the parking lot.
Yes.
True story.
Yeah.
My husband and I prayed about it, and we want to invest in you to go to school because we believe in entrepreneurship, and
Yes.
we've heard your heart and what you want to do with it. So we're going to pay for you the initial cost for you to go.
Mm.
Talk about confirmation.
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely. That is such an amazing story. And I I think anybody who's been on an entrepreneurial journey for any time at all knows that it's a faith journey,
Mm-hmm.
and that there are those moments of that you have to step out on faith. If anything's going to go bigger and better and or more, you can't stay where you are, and you can't keep doing exactly what you're doing, because guess what? You'll get exactly what you have.
Yeah.
So there's some points at which you've got to make those kind of leaps ahead.
Yeah.
You know, there's plotting, but then there's
Right.
leaps of faith. And I think that at those moments, there's something that this has been helpful to me, and maybe this will be helpful to you and other people. And that is, we have to be able to discern between two things, and that is the facts
Mm-hmm.
and the truth. You see, the fact was, before you pulled into that uh, parking lot, you did not have the money to go inside and pay for what you were about to do. Now, that was a fact in that moment, right? But the truth is that you were intended to be doing what you're doing and to move forward into different things. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I want to hear, kind of like the why of all this and what it is for you. But the point is that we have these pivotal moments, these sort of very distinctive moments where we have to decide, are you going to go by the facts, or are you going to go with the truth? Because, the facts change. The
Mm-hmm.
facts will change, but the truth doesn't change. And so if we don't yield to the calling now, when are we going to do it? Right? If we don't take this leap now, when is it going to happen?
Yes.
And so it's a faith thing. It's like that scene in remember that scene in Indiana Jones where he
Oh,
he
yes.
comes out to there's the chasm, and he stops, and then he looks and there's nothing, and then all of a sudden he throws the dust,
Yes.
out there, and you see the walkway appear, and so he takes the first step, and until his foot goes down, there's not really a pathway there yet.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like the appearance of it looked like there wasn't anything there. And that's the thing about that sort of facts versus truth is, the truth is not in the appearance of things, is it?
Right.
The truth isn't in the appearance of things. We can look all around and gather all the facts, but
Yes.
that's not going to always tell us the truth. So,
Exactly.
so we don't find the truth until you take your foot and put it out there, and you go,
Yes.
oh, okay,
Yes.
all
Yes.
right. So, uh,
Yes.
well, I'm so glad that you did. I'm so glad that that happened, and thanks for sharing that story. And it's a good story to show how God shows up too in those moments and in His
Yes.
timing. And
Yes.
love that. So, okay, I don't want to speed you up too much here, because but what I'm kind of interested in is, like, what does this come to mean for you, and how you do what you do, and all the beautician and cosmetology stuff, and also with the other business that you're in. What's kind of the inside out part of this for you? Like, what is it that drives you to do this? What is it that keeps you, what is the purpose in this for you?
The purpose in this for me is I love people, and I love helping people to feel good.
Hmm.
That is something that I adore. And I also, like I mentioned before, it's challenged me. While I'm helping people, there's growth that's taking place
Yeah.
within me too. And there were things, Rick, that I didn't know were inside of me,
Mm.
lying dormant, that were awakened.
Yeah.
There was a part of me that still had that mindset of you can't do it because you've known this way.
Yes.
And so there was an undoing that had to take place. And sometimes it was scary, like the story I just told you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You
Yeah.
know,
Don't let me go in there and embarrass myself.
yeah, I'm literally, I was saying that in my
Yeah.
head, God, please don't embarrass me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do it because, and I love the education part. And I'll tell the story of Paul Mitchell too, but when I
Hmm.
worked for Paul Mitchell, that was huge. Like I had a dream about doing hair. I was still running from hair, Rick.
Yeah.
I was running from it. But I found myself again in that moment of doing nails. I was working in a medical spa in Ballantyne, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
booked 6 weeks out, and it was a very prestigious medical spa. I was
Mm-hmm.
doing well. And I had that moment again of that little tap on the shoulder. There's more.
Mm-hmm.
There's more. And when I went back to school for cosmetology, I mentioned that I went to Paul Mitchell, learned, grew, learned their system. If there's anybody whose son or daughter is considering going into the beauty industry, I highly recommend Paul Mitchell because it was wonderful. And I had a mentor that he would agitate me on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the words, and I'll never forget it, and I still use it when I'm coaching some of the team that I have in the company that I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
And he would say to me, I would get agitated, visibly agitated with him. And he'd go, okay, you see that? You know, that feeling that you're having right now? I want you to remember it. He says, because what I'm trying to do is agitate that sleeping giant on the inside you and wake it up.
Yeah.
I want to wake it up because I see something that you can't see yet. And it would just, make me mad. But God used it. He used it. And so I was doing hair and I excelled very quickly and went into the advanced program to where I didn't have to be in class anymore because I had finished all of my theory-like materials. And so I got to be in, it was a part of the program that you could be in the salon all day taking clients.
Yes.
And, you know, you're not getting paid for any of this. You get tips here and there, but I enjoyed it so much. And that is when things begin to really click for me. Mm-hmm. That, and I would come home and I might have only had $5 from the day of being tipped, but I was like sharing with my husband, like this woman came in and we got to talk about her son and we got to talk about this and this. And there was a woman crying in my chair because she's just going through a horrible divorce. Mm-hmm. And she just started crying at the shampoo bowl after I just started massaging her head.
Yeah. That
for me was life-giving. I was like
your cup was running over. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it was so wonderful. And then, you know, I completed the program, went home on a Thursday. Mm-hmm. They had asked me to come on staff. I was a professional development coach and a technical coach. I went home on a Thursday. I came back on Tuesday and I was on staff. My peers became my students and my teachers became my colleagues.
Yes.
Overnight. And it was a situation yet again where God was extracting things like, hey, there's more, there's more. And I want to show you how you can meet deadlines and how you can coach people about going into the salon. And then the light bulbs of like when you have a student who was struggling to get to school every day and they were averaging 30 minutes a day late and having them come up with an action plan to get there earlier and walking them through it, even when they mess up. Yeah, it's okay. Still walking them through it and seeing that light bulb go off and they get it. And then they just hit the ground running. That was exciting.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah. That's great stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that, listen, the money's important and it's always going to be a factor, but it's not the only factor, is it? It's not the only thing. And what comes along the way is along with money and getting paid for what you do is everything that you're sharing. It's interesting to hear how, you know, you kind of were overflowing when you came home and you just had to share about what was going on. That's such a great thing.
Yes.
That's a great thing. Well, so, okay. Well, what else do we need to know about you and your story and you know, what this has meant for you or anything else that we want to share before we hear exactly, I want to hear about your business and anything we've left out.
It's just been amazing to me to look through my journey. I had to write something out recently and I looked back and it was life-giving to me, you know, because there were bumps and twists and turns along the way and life happened. Life continues to happen.
Yes.
And looking back and just thinking to myself, all it took was a magazine to come across my desk.
Yeah.
All it took was a magazine, and just following that feeling. And it's afforded me to do some amazing things. I got to travel with Paul Mitchell. I got to go to California a couple times a year for events and for training. I got to work alongside with Robert Cromines and I forget her name, but just some awesome people within Paul Mitchell, and get to meet them, talk to them, train with them, and just be around some amazing people, and learning and growing. And I think that was when it really occurred to me that you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. It's in you. It doesn't have to look like everybody else. You are your own unique individual. Your coaching is going to come through how it comes through, but the intention is to make you better.
Yes.
It's to challenge your thinking. It's changing verbiage. I had to change my verbiage. I had to change how I did a consultation, because I thought it was one way, and it's a whole nother ball game. And being able to ask those open-ended questions to that client. And for myself, it's all about the experience. So, when you come and see me, I want you to escape for the hour or the 2 hours that you're in my presence. I want you to forget about that meeting, what's going on with your child, what's going on in your marriage. I don't want to undermine it. I want you to have the freedom to talk about it, but I at least want you to have a little bit of an oasis when you come to me. So one of the things that I am very intentional about is the shampoo experience. I do a pressure point scalp massage at the shampoo bowl. It is not a wash and done, let's get going. It is an experience. You're coming to experience just relaxation. I use essential oils in that process. That right there, and that is why I do what I do.
Yes.
To get to see people melt into the shampoo bowl.
Nice. Nice. Well, it's so interesting. There's a whole other level of interaction and communication that's going on there, and it is, unfortunately, it's more rare than common what's happening there. And so I love that word. It's an oasis, and I can only imagine, what a difference it makes in people's lives. So, okay, well, talk about your business, your businesses, and what all you do, and what do we need to know about it, and how can a person professionally interact with you?
Yes. So my business, or one of them, is Lemongrass Spa Products.
Okay.
We are we're here in the United States, so it's in Florida. It is direct sales company, but it's amazing. We pride ourselves on producing clean, safe, and natural products. They're gluten-free, organic, vegan. So essentially, I get a lot of referrals for people who have problematic skin.
I see. Okay.
I get a lot of referrals for that, or I get referrals for somebody who just, that mom that just wants to have some quiet time, and she can't get to the spa because she has 5 children, and she wants that time for herself, for self-care during the week. That's where I can come in, because our products are spa-like and they're luxurious. I have been with Lemongrass now. It's been 2 years. I took a leave of absence for a while and came back. I have a team of women that I get to work with. Team transformation is what we call ourselves. And we have fun, and we encourage each other and build each other up in our businesses. But I do a lot of education about the largest organ of your body and what you're putting on it.
Yes.
It's not just about what you're putting in it. That's important. That's just one piece of the puzzle. You could be feeding your body a lot of great stuff, but putting toxic stuff on your skin. And I understand everybody, everybody's in a different place with this. But I come along to assist you in making the switch and giving you solutions that are affordable while educating you on the products. And we have products from newborn babies to adult men and women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can take care of everybody, but that's what I do. And then my background with cosmetology, of course, amplifies that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It amplifies that. So I have hair clients who are also my lemongrass customers
Sure. Yeah.
because makeup, skincare, the hair questions, because we have some hair care products too.
Mm-hmm.
So it just runs hand in hand. And I think
Nice.
it's amazing how I got led to that as well along this journey. And I love it.
Outstanding. Well, we've enjoyed some lemongrass products in our house, and I'm sure we'll continue to do that. So they're good things, and I only ever hear people say good things about lemongrass products. I've never heard anyone who was displeased with anything they got from there. So that says a lot. And you know, when you talk about natural stuff and all that, you've got my attention too. So I appreciate all of that part of it.
Yes.
So. Well, it is, man, outstanding, and thank you so much for sharing all of that and sharing your journey.
Mhm.
And I know that the things that you've shared, there's going to be a lot of people that will listen to this and have a lot of points that they can relate to and that will resonate with them. So it's adding value to people, and I hope you see that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I look forward to connecting with you again soon, and I'll say goodbye for now.